Hello, and welcome back to my podcast, Filmmaking, Actually. Ta-da! Today I wanted to talk about our 2025 Easterseals Disability Film Challenge film, The List. This was a film that was done for the Film Challenge where the requirements are you have to have one person with disabilities either in front of or behind the camera. We like to go the extra mile, so I think we had one person without disabilities on set and then one or two people without disabilities in the whole post-production team. The way we did this is a genre was announced in January, right during Sundance actually, and the genre was suspense/thriller or suspense or thriller. We were basically told we could start developing a story, we can do the development work, but none of the final creative work could be completed until the actual challenge window, which was between April 1st and April 6th. So what I thought I'd do is just kind of like walk you through the process, what that was like, some of the things we ran into, what it took to make the movie. If you'd like to watch it, I'm going to link the Easterseals Disability Film Challenge link in the captions, comments, whatever, however you're hearing this. It was done in that window. So, it's a little rough and ready. And I wanted to also break down the difference between talking about making movies and actually making movies. I started this podcast because I wanted to help people with the practical things that I learned from actually making movies. And I say it all the time, I'm still learning. There's no end in sight. There's no finish line. There's no goalpost. If anything, the goalpost keeps moving. And I'm here for it because every time I make a film, I level up, I learn something else, I learn something more, and hopefully I'm able to share it in a way that helps people learn more. I am going to do this episode in two parts. So the first part will be about the development and pre-production, and I'll touch on the production. And then the second part is going to be mostly about the post-production and kind of like the post-mortem thoughts on the whole thing. So here we go. The challenge started, as I said, in January when we were given the full rundown. And then April 1st, we were going to get the launch. And the launch is the props that we're required to use, the locations that we're required to use, the themes that we have to work into it, and any other final details. So we could come up with an idea for a story, but we couldn't lock the script because we didn't know what we needed to do. So I'm just going to walk you through it play by play. As soon as it was suspense thriller, I was a little bit ugh, because that's not my genre. It's not a genre I'm good at. It's not one that I'm familiar with particularly. I don't even really like suspense or thriller films. They're probably of my least favorite genres, but I do understand them. I know how they work. I understand the rhythmic balance of editing when you're editing a suspense film, that you have to have these slower moments with tension and intercut them with kind of faster moments. And you have to kind of put the audience on the edge of their seats and then kind of pull them back. And there's an art to it. It's a very specific genre. And I respect the storytelling that goes into making it that genre. So we were trying to think of a couple ideas and we came up. Oh, sorry. I should say there are going to be some spoilers in this. So if you haven't watched the movie yet, please go watch it. Otherwise, we're going to completely ruin it for you. If you have watched it, carry on. So the story we came up with was the idea of these two people who are deaf, who've been kidnapped, and they're being held in this basement or something. And their hands are tied, so they can't communicate to each other because their hands are tied, and they're not tied in a way where they can see each other's hands. And then they have to escape, basically. And then we find out something about them, which I'll get to. So we had that kind of idea. I wrote a draft of the script. I sent it to my friend Stevie, who's deaf, who's also a writer and an actress. And she read it. We kind of polished it a little bit, came up with a direction that we were happy with in a gray area. We're okay, this is the direction we're probably going to go in, but we knew we might get prompts that push us in a different direction. There might be key props we have to use that require us to change the story to work them in. So we really wanted to leave lots of wiggle room. So we really kind of did we're going to go west in a general direction, and we'll figure out exactly what once we can. So in order to make a movie, it takes money. It does. Anyone who tells you they did a $0 film either doesn't understand how accounting works or they are a liar. So there's things that cost money, period. People have to drive to set. People need food. You need props. You need, maybe specialty wardrobe items. You need food for your cast and crew, snacks, whatever. Like for us, because people were traveling in, we had to cover travel costs. No one on our team lives in the same area. So we picked a kind of centralized-ish location to film. A couple people flew in. Everyone else drove in. We needed an Airbnb for everyone to stay at. Even if we were filming at someone's house and everybody lived locally, there's still a person who owns that house, who's paying for maintenance on that house, who's paying the electric bill for that house. Like, things cost money. It's just the way the world works, unfortunately. So what we did is we opened up sponsorship spots and we set a goal of, I think, about $3,500 to cover flights and gas and travel and props and food and just like whatever we needed so that we could make the movie. So the first couple weeks before the contest launched, we were reaching out for sponsors. We were messaging people on LinkedIn, posting on social media, messaging friends, messaging people who'd sponsored last year. Right at the last minute, we reached our goal, which was very fantastic. So we had everybody flying in and coming and ready to start the project. So last year's film, The Heist, was actually screening at the Gasparilla International Film Festival in Tampa, Florida. So Spacey and I were there the entire week before the Easterseals Disability Film Challenge was launching. And when I say right before, I mean the closing night was March 30th, and the opening launch for us of everybody coming together was March 31st. So we literally unpacked bags, repacked bags, showered, changed, and left for the location for filming for this year's challenge. So we're on our way. As I'm trying to get everything together and get everything prepared and be all ready for this, after coming off a very intense week at this other festival, we find out that Sarah, one of the actresses and also my assistant, her flight was canceled. Not delayed, canceled. Then we find out that Stevie, the co-writer and our lead actress, also flight delayed. I'm then trying to juggle, rescheduling as needed, figuring things out, what's going to happen. Are they going to be able to pick up their rental car in time? Long story short, by the time Stevie, Sarah, and the rental car had arrived in Orlando and come together and then driven the 90 minutes to where we were filming, it was almost 4 o'clock in the morning on April 1st. Not a good look for people with disabilities launching a week-long film project. So we went to bed, tried to sleep in as much as we could, waited for the announcement, which was coming at about 2 p.m. We drove to the location where we're going to be filming because once we had the prompts, we could lock the script, start figuring out, our shot list, our blocking, we could start actually preparing to make the movie. So I also had no set design figured out. I didn't have the wardrobe figured out. We didn't have anything designed. We were just waiting to launch. We arrived to the location. We get the prompts super coincidentally, and I swear with everything that went wrong, we are so lucky that this went right. One of the props required was a photo, and we already had a photo wall planned as a potential direction for the story. There also were items like a calendar, a clock, a cell phone, a hat, a blue shirt. And then we had the themes that were released, and I don't have them in front of me, but we fairly fit the themes already. We just had to tweak a very little bit to fit the themes. And then the locations were a house or apartment, a backyard, a storefront, things like that. And we were able to adjust our locations to be a house and a backyard. We'd left the end fairly open because we didn't know how it was going to have to resolve. So we were really excited about that. We get to the location, we look around, we kind of figure out, okay, what-ish are we going to do? How-ish are we going to be filming this? Because our script still isn't locked. We figure out the first location is going to be this room. Huge shout out to our friends Chris and Mariah who let us film in their house, in their home. And they had just moved. So they had a room that hadn't really been unpacked yet and was full of storage bins still. It's probably about 15 bins in this room. We're like, great, let's make this look like a basement because that'll be super easy. One of our PAs had already arrived, so we had them start setting up the room while I did a pass on the script, and then Stevie and I locked it. Thankfully, that didn't take too much time, but it did, it took some time. We then got that emailed out to everybody. Our actors started going through it, kind of figuring out what exactly we're going to do. We had a actress Sarah, who lives with several disabilities, playing an able-bodied character. And part of that involved wearing a wig. So we had to figure out which wig she was going to wear and, get that all situated and then style her outfit and then style Stevie's outfit and figure out if we needed more pieces. We then realized that what we needed for Dan, we would need to buy. My husband's spaceship was running around picking up last minute items that we needed. So he went out and purchased the items needed for Dan's outfit. And then when we were trying to figure out what to do to make this room in an apartment, just normal white wall, closet door, nice carpet, how do we make this look like a grungy, scary basement? So we went with getting some drop cloth and contact paper like you put on a drawer from Walmart. While Spacey and Chase, the PA, were out kind of picking up items, they would text me photos. I would pick which one, went the best, I thought, with what we were trying to do style-wise. I had them pick up some cheap foundation, like for makeup. And what we did was we crumpled this contact paper on all the walls, and then we covered it in, didn't cover it, but we kind of created a very thin layer of foundation on it and kind of rubbed it in very unevenly to make it look like aged wallpaper. So while they're doing all of that, I'm starting to run through the scripts with the actors more, getting everything set up. Long story short, we get all that set up. The script is locked. Everything's done. We're prepped. We have the first location at least sort of like outlined with what we're going to do. So we go back to where we're staying. I put together the call sheet for the next day and we, plan what our shot list is going to be, how we're going to break it down. We also needed stalker photos of the two lead characters because they're kidnapped and we are establishing that the person who kidnapped them is a stalker. So we do a fairly quick photo shoot, I don't know, maybe an hour, where we just have them rapidly put on different outfits and go to different places in the house. And I take some photos literally on my phone through windows. I make it look like there's like a security camera in one corner and I literally stood on the counter and like held my phone up in the air and took pictures kind of down on them pretending to eat breakfast. Took pictures of them pretending to be sleeping, wanted the stalker to be super creepy. Pictures of them through the kitchen window in the kitchen, living room window, watching TV. Like it was a whole photo shoot. So we took all those pictures and then had to get all those pictures downloaded, or I guess uploaded and then downloaded. We were all set for day one of filming. So that was just the prep. We are now April 1st, end of day.
You've been listening to Filmmaking Actually with Koura Linda, Space Dream Productions podcast. Subscribe to us on any or all the podcast platforms. If you like what you hear, leave us 5-star ratings and positive reviews on iTunes. It helps more listeners like you discover the show. But the best thing you can do if you really like the show is tell a friend. Want to leave a comment or ask a question? Email at filmmakingactually@gmail.com. This is Spacey speaking, and remember,
Sometimes I wanna be a picture director. I'm trying to make the world understand by making movie movies. By making movie movies.
and we'll see you next time.